Welcome back, everybody, to the Dota 2 Champions League. We have some of the last group stage matches ahead of us. We have Balkan Bears. Balkan Bears. Jesus, I'm actually confusing Burn United and Balkan Bears. Balkan Bears, Corleone facing up against Hellraisers in a 2-game series. Now, Hellraisers, fresh off of a tie against Burn United, which is pretty decent since Burn United were sitting at a nice 9-1 record before that series. A tie definitely helps out Hellraiser's position a lot, but a sweet 2-0 against BBC would make them in an even better spot and potentially claim that top slot up against Burden. So let's jump into our next match here. Hellraisers versus Balkan Bears Corleone, game number 1, and I can welcome in my co-caster Blaze is going to be joining me for the next 2 games of the series, man. The draft, I saw it out of the corner of my eye. All of a sudden, man, we just had those first 4 pickups. Wham, bam, bam. It seems like the teams really know what they want to pick up in this first 1-2 against each other.
10 seconds.
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, they've been probably watching a little bit of what Hellraisers were picking in the last game, and historically, of course, you can do your research. And if you're going to open with the Earthshaker, as they often do, just because of how we get to see Gotham run that hero, why not go for something like a Rubik, where you get that early steal on the Fisher, you take out and nullify a lot of his potential because you're counter-initiating the same way he is. So suddenly you get that instant cast animation steal, you get some really good spells, and even the Lena's not bad to go up against. So when Rubik was much more popular and we got to see him picked up in Phase 1, I always like to talk about the kind of mind game aspect of now you have this Rubik you have to draft against. Do you go all in and put up a bunch of abilities that he loves to steal, knowing that he can only steal 1 or 2 a fight? Or do you try to say, okay, reserve all this stuff, avoid the Enigmas, avoid the big ultis, and just draft to limit Rubik's potential? It seems like with the Lena pickup that they're going to be flooding a lot of good spells, and that means Rubik will have his pick of the litter, but he'll have to make the precise choice.
I was about to say, the Earthshaker too. Like, Earthshaker Fisher is probably one of the best non-ultimate abilities you could steal. I mean, without an animation, Fisher becomes damn near OP. Precision placement of that Fisher every single time without a cast animation. So, the Batrider now picked up for Balkan Bears. A heavy pickoff lineup so far for them. That is going to be more mid-game oriented, but Hellraisers, I think, can definitely take control of the early game with this starting opening, especially like Lena in general. Wants to be able to win the laning phase, can do so really well up against Storm Spirit. Do you think Storm Spirit's actually going to be mid, though, for Balkan Bears? Or do you think they're going to try and run a safe lane Storm?
Tough call, obviously, that we've seen it go a couple of different ways. I think Exist is going to be playing it, so in this context, I could see him taking it to the safe lane, and then Weehaw taking a hero that might be better in the Lena matchup. Temple Assassin got banned out. That's the hero I assumed Weehaw would be picking up if he could. But yeah, we'll see if they can find something that works really well against the Lena in particular, and that would be fun. They could still go the Shadow Fiend route. Not ideal here, but still definitely viable with some assistance from the side. One thing I gotta say is, did Hellraisers, why wouldn't they pick up the Vengeful Spirit here? Like, obviously, if you want to run a core Lena, then you need that second support, and in this case, being able to swap away from the Flaming Lasso seems to be an important aspect to your counter initiation. They go with the Skywrath, which obviously has great synergy with their heroes, but I think the Venge would have been better to respond to a tough spot.
Yeah, it's kind of a hard call, right? I mean, do you go which hero do you focus on essentially? Do you focus on shutting down the Storm Spirit or the Batrider? And with the Skywrath Mage, it seems like they're going to go for the Storm Spirit route. But I guess in that, the way I look at that is the risk of either like the Storm Spirit being run safe lane or perhaps them not actually being able to beat out the Storm in the middle lane. Like, Lena should win that matchup, and especially with the rotations, the Earthshaker, they can easily get an early kill. But if that doesn't happen and the Storm Spirit starts kind of getting a little out of control, Skywrath Mage will be the better support versus that. But Nyx Assassin now picked up by Hellraisers. That's one hell of a pickup. That is a counter to the Batrider and the Storm in one nice little Nyxy bundle.
It is really nice. I presume that we're going to be seeing this run in the offlane. Goretz has done it multiple times in the past, and it is really good against Storm and Batrider. Definitely good to emphasize the mana burn potential against Storm and the Spike Carapace potential against Batrider's Firefly, but it's actually a really bad support against Slark. The Slark Dark Pack will always break that Spike Carapace the instant that it procs it, and yeah, he's still going to have a pretty good time. So do you think the Earthshaker, the Light Strike Array from Lena, those are going to be good enough controlling tools to make the Slark rethink aggressive plays?
I mean, they do have a fair amount of AoE. I think they're good enough, right? I think it's just good enough between the Impale and Nyx Assassin, the ultimate there from the Skywrath Mage, the Light Strike Array, the Fissure, Echo Slam. Like, they've got so much AoE that it's enough to keep the Slark from being too offensive. They've got the Silence, well, they've got the heavy amount of nukes coming out from the Lina, which is going to be your first way to counter the Storm. The second one being the Skywrath Mage's Silence, and now the mana burnout from the Nyx Assassin. They've covered their bases basically out of 2 out of 3 of these cores, and I do think the Slark is addressed well enough with the HR first 4 pickups, but I'm still a little bit concerned about the Batrider, but Skywrath Mage is still a strong enough laning support against the Bat that they should be able to keep him from getting that early level 2, which is kind of what speeds up the Batrider's jungle more than normal. But yeah, I actually really like Hellraiser's lineup so far. I think they've done a good job countering the cores of BBC. Of course, Balkan Bears, if they go past like 35 minutes and they're still on even grounds with Hellraisers, they'll just steamroll this game quite easily, as HR definitely more early game oriented. But I could see how Hellraisers, especially with their kind of measured aggression that they bring to the game, of course, I say measured aggression. Last game wasn't really measured aggression. It was just all out herp-a-derp-derp. But usually the amount of measured aggression that Hellraisers brings to a match, I think they could definitely make this kind of lineup work, keep Balkan Bears under control, and I'm not sure what kind of carry they're looking for here, whether it's kind of mid-game push or perhaps just a hard carry. Either way, I think just this 4-man lineup from HR deals with Balkan Bears lineup pretty well.
Yeah, I think overall, and one cool thing is Alina's probably going to be rushing out a Yule Scepter, so the Batrider initiation might not be as scary if you can just go for the quick Yules whenever he jumps in, either before the lasso or after. And this, we already talked about the Spike Carapace. It means he can't Firefly that person cliffs. But Disruptor was a for support that I was considering here. I would rather have it on the side of Hellraisers, but they obviously open pretty hard with their support. So in this case, BBC, they can do a lot with it, as long as they don't just get destroyed by the Nyx. The big thing about Nyx is he's going to be tackling the supports pretty heavily in terms of sentries once he gets his ultimate online, and he's also going to be killing them because they're very low armor. So the real question is, can they stop him from tanking, and can they respond to his threat well enough? Another aspect is just in terms of map control. They're going to go with the Morphling here, so a harder carry than we were kind of looking for a tempo lineup, but he still obviously brings something to the mid game with his spells. But my mindset is, if BC are actually able to take map control at the 10 to 15 minute mark, Hellraisers are going to have a really hard time bringing it back, just in the sense that they have flypaper heroes. Like, you get a Storm pickoff, you get a Batrider pickoff, and that's going to keep that ball rolling, even though they still have good late game to fall back on.
All right. Our Skype call was doing really, really well, but I'm going to go ahead and close our call and call you back, because unfortunately it seems to have dropped in quality significantly there during that last bit. Hopefully it'll be good now, but let's start this out. Game number 1, Balkan Bears versus Hellraisers. As long as Goretz doesn't get caught, which he shouldn't, we will not see any immediate action. This is game number 1 here in this 2-game series. Right now, Hellraisers are sitting in a pretty good 3rd place position in the Dota 2 Champions League group stage, but if they can 2-0 Balkan Bears, they will be in potentially set up to take 1st place, depending on how Burton United do in their match against Power Rangers. So this is a big opening for Hellraisers to be able to come out of that group stage with that 1st place slot intact, and a great position to go into the D2CL LAN, which I don't think we've actually announced where the D2CL LAN is. Join Dota actually does know, but I don't think it's been announced yet, but it's going to be an interesting one. We'll put it that way. It's going to be a lot of fun, I think.
Duel up on the top rune. Arts only has the Agimorph, so he's doing a lot of damage, but he's committed with all these napalm stacks, and Massacre can just keep kiting him. In the meantime, F Ninja will be able to kill off the Rubik, but Arts is so close, baiting him in, he gets the kill. A Morph only. Morphling takes out 80+% of the Batrider's health. He got the bounty rune too, and then he set it up for Dread to finish the job. But of course, the first blood going the way of Lina just makes it a 2-fer.
Yeah, the Fissure block. He started calling that exit in the top lane. I was just like, oh, I'll jump away from this bottom lane. I think they just get the bounty runner and everything. But the Fissure block came in, and of course, Rubik trapped, unable to get back, was easily cleaned up for the first blood, and then that Morphling managing to pull out the kill thanks to Dread's rotation. To a two-man start there for Hellraisers in the first 30 seconds of this match. A great way to start out this game, especially with Affo being able to pull in the very early bottle for himself. I mean, especially considering when you go for the Null Talisman Branches build and you already have your bottle by the minute mark, that is an incredibly good start for Alina, who's already a dominant hero up against the Storm Spirit. Masakari kicked back there by the Skywrath Mage, and this is kind of what you're expecting. The Sky is a super strong laning support, very good at harassing out the offlaner hero, and our Batrider is going to have a very hard time getting to that level 2. In fact, they might just make the dive here. It's going to be a close one. Got him. He's coming in with the Fissure. It's not enough to finish off Masakari. 10 HP is what he survives on, and got him actually drops quite low from just the tower hits there. Blows a lot of regen in order to get that attempted kill on Masakari, but it's not quite good enough.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's definitely a close call, and it is going to most likely force him back. He's actually tangoing up and staying around here. Just has to play outside of waveform range for the most part as a result of that. I mean, even the Skywrath being 2 makes it very threatening, and Gotham could always go for another flank. But anyways, one thing that I want to mention is that their decision to ward the Western hard camp rather than to play counter jungling with the Earthshaker. Last time we saw jungle emphasis with that Enigma, they actually just had the Earthshaker there leeching experience and occasionally stealing some creeps. Up top, though, that decision not to go back may be one he regrets. Art's getting another kill.
I mean, without the Firefly, like, I have no idea how you're actually going to be able to stay in lane against all that aggression. You just don't have an escape possibility there. The sticky napalm level 1 perhaps really costing him as he gives away another kill. Yapzor is here now with the haste rune to try and help out Masakari perhaps a little bit. Make sure he does get that level 2. I mean, Batrider can't really make use of the jungle until he has Firefly available. So even if they did stack for him for looks like just one single stack there in the very safe hard camp, but still, it's something that they really need to make sure that they start setting up for this Batrider, who's already having such a difficult time. It looks like he's going to try to take advantage of this other hard camp, the aggressive one, which is a little bit dangerous. But the 2 supports are gone right now. The Skywrath Mage back to base, and Gotham is going for a mid lane rotation, and it exists, who's already going to have such a hard time up against Alina, gets hit by that Fissure. It's going to be a free Light Strike array long range, but no, doesn't actually go for it. The timing just not right for these 2 heroes.
Yeah, and if you look at the creep equilibrium down bottom, Gorex has been pushed out under his tower for a long time, but he's getting full experience there, already level 4.5. While Batrider is getting killed off multiple times, Gorex assisted in that first blood, and of course he's just getting a lot. He's not going to be kind of leeching from these neutrals that are being pulled through, and even try to take the Radiant creeps with him, which it looks like he will succeed. So, might actually be in a bad spot here. It looks like he's going to have to go all the way around, and the pull-through will still happen. Glimpse back, the pounce to connect on Gorex after he loses his Spike Carapace, and that is going to be a hard situation to get out of.
Yeah, very nicely played, especially holding on to the pounce there. Weha manages to ensure the kill onto that Nyx Assassin Knight. Pick off the Batrider, just barely getting away there with the Firefly over the cliff. HR unable to lock it down. Once again, they come very close to killing Masakari, but this time around he learned his lesson. He's going to go all the way back to base and probably try and jungle from here on out.
Makes sense. They've been stacking up the Western hard camp for him. They unboxed that by, I think, the minute spawn, actually. So Yapzor been really just helping out the Batrider in that regard. We see another rotation on mid, though, and this one has a better chance of succeeding just based on it being nighttime. There was no wards that gave knowledge of the Earthshaker. He just saw him while he was on the cliff. Now Dread looking for zoning and got him. Where does he go from here? Like,
Goretz is going to fall in the bottom lane. He's starting to HP potion up, and he's good. Weha is actually going to take a lot of damage, kind of blocked out by Levy there, and he will be able to get out. Goretz is actually now in a great position with Weha being so low on HP and not quite level 6. Goretz can probably afford to stay in lane for a while longer. These supports are actually going to rotate up through this bottom lane and see if they can't pick off perhaps both of these heroes potentially. They get the two-man Fissure. Unfortunately, Goretz doesn't have anything to add but just raw right clicks. Weha is going to be able to couple more right clicks, and they do not get him. He pounced into the trees. He's actually good for the time being. Meanwhile, Gotham is trying to chase down Levy, but they run into Exist. Now he's going to be pulled back, and it looks like they will be able to get that kill. Exist runs down the Earthshaker, while Levy, the last little nuke there will be able to get the kill, but now Dread is in some trouble. Toss back into the Storm Spirit range of the right click, and it looks like they'll get that one as well. The Skywrath Mage, lack of armor, will cost yet another death. And the Slark is actually still in lane. He's just going to try and get his level 6 through experience. Finally does so successfully, but he just barely managed to survive there thanks to that pounce exists coming forward there. But Goretz, of course, having that spike carapace will be able to play defense enough. Looks like our Batrider also got a bit low, but he's just doing jungle.
So, yeah, it's actually really interesting how that played out with Weeha's pounce away. Not only did it disjoint the fatal auto attack, but he pounced into impassable terrain and rebounded behind the trees. This doesn't break the trees, and it catches him in a position where he can just wait it out and pounce out later. Now they go on Gorak. Again, he has the spike carapace, but it's a pretty short duration, and they just follow through.
Very nicely played, especially with the pullback. You can't forget that pullback doesn't actually do any damage. So Electric Vortex, it's not doing anything to proc that stun. Weha in some trouble here, does get the slow, but another pounce away out of vision will keep him alive. So these support rotations, HR just kind of like barely coming away without a victory. Like they're super close to getting the kill, and then they feed away. Got him. He's going to die. Dread, you just got to get out of here, man. That's Masakari who's coming in with a level 5 Batrider. He's going to run you down if you're not careful. Concussive shot plus the spike carapace slowing him down. Masakari's still going for that kill. But with the TP in here from the Earthshaker, they will be forced back. It's still BBC taking the early lead here. Perhaps a kill on the Goretz with the Dark Pact. They easily clean up that one. Weha, silence or no, he will back up to outside of vision range and be fine. And how did this guy still have mana? Seriously, just the Magic Stick and Sage's Mask is keeping him multiple pounces ahead.
It's 100% the Magic Stick. We have picked it up very recently, but he's gotten a lot of charges out of just the random skirmishes that have come out. This guy who was down to no mana and no HP, barely had enough mana to pounce out of the trees, suddenly has enough for his 2-spell combo, and later on to get kills. And it's all about them just putting so much pressure out in spells, and all that spam actually gives him fuel for the fire. So he's able to use those resources to get another kill, and the Ring of Aquila will take it from there.
Big old stack here for the Batrider. Unfortunately, he's still got some golems to deal with, but this stack will get him pretty close to his Blink Dagger, probably about 1,700 gold. Another stack after that, and that'll be Blink Dagger, and they can really start moving around the map. Of course, the Slark and the Storm Spirit want to be able to spend some more time farming. Usually Storm is only going to go, 2 or 3 pickoffs in those first 15 minutes. You really don't get truly online, and I mean like full-on constant roaming until you finish up that Orchid, which seems to be his first item choice. He's got the extra Robo Magi, and the Orchid is pretty effective versus many of these heroes, particularly the Lina, if you can get that pickup before the Yule Scepter. But it doesn't look like that's going to be the case. Affo, he's already got all the components, and now he just needs the recipe.
Yeah, he's also stocking up, and Viz really wants just Out of Shadows Light Strike around to exist. They could combo that up with the Silence pretty easily after that, but doesn't get the timing. Exists is just kind of sitting on his high ground in a comfortable position with supports lurking and babysitting essentially. So they're just all under control. Bottom lane and mid lane are going really well for the side of BBC. It's only top lane that's really making the difference there. Morphling obviously getting free farm and gonna go for a Linken's Rush.
Do you agree with that one? We don't see normally too many Lincolns nowadays on Morphling, but there certainly is a lot of incentive for it this game, huh?
Yeah, I generally speaking, Lincoln's I think is an outdated build, but in this game, in this context, there's a lot that it'll negate. I mean, obviously it could just be Thunderstruck off, or maybe like a Fade Bolt or a Spell Steal would just break it, but if he can actually negate one of the stuns or even a glimpse, that'll be a really big boon for him. So I can see a lot of value in it here, and of course the regen, the base stats, all kind of work really well with the hero.
So as we get into that 10-minute marker, let's take a look at the net worth. Lina, not a big surprise that Affo is taking the lead. Early on, does have that Yule Scepter, so these first couple of rotations are going to be key if he can actually get the kill on the Slark, which is going to be a tough one. I mean, Slark has the instant Shadow Dance to lay down, so I'm not sure how exactly, if they're going to be able to have enough nukes and stun duration to be able to keep the Weha Slark locked in place. Because if they Yules, right, say he doesn't get off Dark Pact, right, and they Yules, they land the stun, but he instantly Shadow Dances, right? He's invisible. Your AoE by itself is not going to kill him. They just actually have to control him long enough to be able to get, wait out the Shadow Dance, essentially, and get the Laguna Blade off on him. But I just don't see that happening, especially with the Slark at full HP.
Yeah, And even if it's just a knee-jerk dark pack reaction, like the Yules will be dispelled by the dark pack. So it's like it's not even you're buying time for your setup. It's really just he gets out that much faster. I also really like the observer ward they placed in the bottom lane, around the Roche pit. That plateau obviously considered imbalanced for the Radiant side to try to even the factions out, but right now it's been giving intel for Lina roaming to gank bottom. It will show Gorek trying to roam and Vendetta elsewhere. Like, it's really valuable intel that'll allow them to move across the map safely.
The first of the Oblivion staffs exists is about to pick that one up. Massacre does have his Blink Dagger on the way. It looks like Yapzor. He even has a decent amount of farm on his Rubik. He's not level 6 yet, and yet he still has a Void Stone. Goret's sent back in the bottom lane, but Weha not going to try and land that pound. Goretz is definitely playing very conservatively with his Spike Carapace. The first Blink reveal here, and Dread is going to be the victim. Affo comes in. Going to try and land this stun, but no, the telekinesis intercept now exists. He's going to bounce around ahead of that Light Strike array. He gets the stun on Massacre and almost gets the kill, but not quite. Massacre lives with just 26 HP. And Lina adds in an additional feed to BBC. So Balkan Bear is off to a great start here in the first 12 minutes, and they're going to lose another here. Got him. Done to the regen rune of Exist. He just happens to run into that free kill.
Yeah, that was just luck, right? Like, there's no way they do the Earthshaker was juggling that low of HP, but yeah, he just gets it and jumps him as soon as he gets vision, and that is incredible. You got to feel for the Lina there. She was just trying to get a couple spells off. She just was trying to get the Laguna off on the Storm. He was the lowest target, and then once he was zipping just far too much, they say, screw it, go to the Bat Rider, and he even walks away. Like, it's just death after death coming for Hellraiser's. A 10-4 advantage for BBC, and I really do feel like the Slark can still do a lot against the Morphling, even though Morphling is a carry that can take this pretty late. The effective Essence Shift against a hero that relies on all three stats is actually just compounds really quickly. We do see a smoke play. The Yule is available. We'll see if we gets the Dark Pact off in time.
Nice. Leading with the stun, that was the best play they could have. Don't try and get greedy and go for the Vendetta hit. If he lands the surprise impale, there's no Dark Pact, and all the long-range follow-up stuns easily get the kill. So Slark does end up dying. It costs HR a pretty penny, though. I mean, that was a smoke up and a 3-man rotation to the bottom lane plus Vendetta. That was pretty heavy cost of resources there for HR in order to get that one kill, but kill well worth it. Slark being one of the most important heroes to shut down in that kind of rotational phase. The first couple of rotations, you need to be able to get kills on Slark to make sure he doesn't get to his Blink Dagger and Shadow Blade pretty quickly. They are going to chase down the replicate of the Earthshaker.
That's all of Exist mana. Now they have nothing for bottom lane. There's a ward in place, scouting things out, and now going right onto Gorek. There's no Yules in time.
They will be able to get the kill onto that Nyx assassin just in time. Weha, oh god. They do have some AoE, but they still need a few more seconds. He's actually healing up. The Bat Rider will die. Weha, are you going to make the pounce away at the right time? They've got to know he's there. They know that's a Shadow Amulet. Why aren't they spamming spells? I don't understand what's happening here.
They must not have realized what it was. I guess they didn't. I mean, he just recently picked up the Shadow Amulet, and maybe they thought he Dark Pacted into the shadows and pounced away. Like, it's really hard to read that situation, but with the Shadow Dance off cooldown, it's just got to be a misread of what exactly happened there. They might be shrugging their shoulders themselves, but he appears from the shadows, they click him, and they probably know their mistake now.
I mean, I know there's a little bit of fade time there with Shadow Amulet now, right? Like, you can actually move around and still, like, you can move around for a second and a half and then stop moving and the invis goes off, right? So technically, Weha could have done that, but they saw him during the fade time. They saw him not moving, and all of a sudden he goes invisible. That was awkward. All right, well, either way, HR, great fight for them. Either way, right? I mean, not getting the Slark is really unfortunate. That would have been a huge win. It would have shut down that Shadow Blade even further. But they do get the tower. They do get a couple of pickoffs there. Even if they do lose the Nyx Assassin, it's a win for the rest of the team.
Yeah. So, I mean, it was a pretty chaotic fight. It's just not being observant enough to catch the one aspect that was pretty critical there. But let's talk about how the support's progressing, because this is actually going to get pretty interesting here. Yapzor finding farm for his Yule Scepter. He's also got the Waveform stolen, so he's going to definitely have 2 spells to throw out every fight. You're not just going to get silenced and disabled and taken out completely, because that self-Yules will work really well, at the very least. Alpha Ninja really wants to Dragon Slave Laguna, but it looks like maybe he'll get it.
He gets off the slave there with the extra bit of damage coming out. They actually bring him closer. Oh, dear. Well, that guarantees the kill on Levy, where Dread probably would have just died otherwise without that pullback. A support for a support, though. Not too bad of a trade for Balkan Bears, I suppose, especially when they are free farming up the top lane and bottom at the same time. Weha's actually getting some chip damage on this tier 1 tower, and give it some more time, and he will actually claim that first tier 1 for BBC. Exist is coming in, sees the opportunity to grab goddamn, but it's a bit dangerous. Up against Afo especially, they jump in order to save Masakari, but the two-man Fisher sets it up. Echo Slam misses. They still get the Laguna Blade to finish off the bat rider, but now Gorath doesn't land the impale, but Exist is out of mana. Perhaps Artez can come in and finish it off. Replicate forward, waveform, and adaptive strike with the right click. They get that kill. Yapzor now running himself away. He's got a Yule Scepter, but he doesn't have the mana to get off any fresh abilities. Oh my god, the impale. How did that not land? Still, though, anticlimactic finish there as the Fisher still gets the kill for HR.
Yeah, but now the Shadow Blade is up for the Slark. They bought time for him, and he can start his roaming. He's actually going to go right onto Gorek here. And again, with the Dark Pact, there's nothing Gorek can do.
Impale at the last second, couldn't get it off. He tried to wait out the Dark Pact, but maybe he should have just thrown it anyway, as Weha would have died otherwise. The last nukes, Weha pounce away. He's got an ultimate.
He's got a magic wand. He's just playing with him the whole time, and he actually wants to bait him into melee range. Then he could Dark Pact him, or sorry, Shadow Dance on him, and he'd actually get another kill. The way I was under no threat there, actually, even though it looked really close.
Weha now looking for more with that Shadow Blade, but HR, this is about the time where you got to start grouping up. Like, Slark is going to slow down his farm by looking for kills. As long as you don't allow him to get pickoffs, you can actually be looking pretty good going into the mid-game, successfully stalling up the Slark's farm because he's too busy moving around the map and looking for those kills. So this is about the time where HR are going to have to 4-man. Sure, the Morphling can do whatever he wants because he's a Morphling with the Lincolns. He's pretty invulnerable at this point, but the rest of the team's super susceptible to that Shadow Blade.
Smoking up top, we've got the Orchid available. If Artez doesn't get something off quickly, he's actually just going to lose his Lincolns and get gunned down.
Yeah, they've got Gorath coming in, but he doesn't land the Impale, and the Morphling does end up falling with a stolen waveform out from Yapzor. Gorath is still coming forward, and it's got the Vendetta, but doesn't have the Impale. Waiting for it, sees 3 heroes. The Bat Rider's coming in, and they're just going to try and back up as much as possible with Afo. So Vendetta...
Yeah, Dread got glimpsed back in mid lane, and he will be going down to the Slark. That's the second kill for them after the Earthshaker, but back up top.
Yule Scepter, in order to dodge that bit of an Orchid, they do get the Impale onto. That's a good setup. Exist may actually die here. He's running low on mana. One last little ball lightning jump. The Yapzor doing a great job with his control, but the Fisher still finishes off the Storm Spirit and now locks Yapzor in a bad position. The Impale is not going to be on time. Guards can't stop that one. And the Bat Rider still looking for that kill on Afo. I'm not sure if that Flame break landed or not, but Weha's now here to provide some extra backup. They see Afo, but if he tries to go for the dive here, there's still the Yule Scepter. Send back Glimpse. They're going to control him while Afo is going to be caught, and they do take him out before the Yule Scepter goes out. Artis, though, maybe they can get the kill on the Slark. They get him underneath the tier 1 tower, and he doesn't have the mana for a Shadow Dance. That mana burn just too strong out from Gorath. Gets an additional one. This game is a crazy number of kills back and forth. 30 kills total in the first 19 minutes.
Yeah, nice experience going up for the Nyx and the Morphling after that kill on the Slark, who was level 14. So they get the gold, they get the experience at the cost of Lena. She didn't get the Yules out in time, but even still, it's actually a nice swing forward. The kills, obviously, very favorable for BBC, so you'll take what you can get. And if they can get a kill on the Slark, who's been dominating, and now the tier 1 tower, that's just incredible. But in the meantime, Yapzor taking a freebie tier 1. Glyph, guys, Glyph, it's free, and they will get it at the last second, but yeah, in the end, still going to be a tier 1 for tier 1 trade, and Levi will be taking some extra gold.
Yeah, good to give it to him. I mean, Yapzor having a Yules before the 20-minute mark is already insane amount of farm for his support. And Rubik is he's usually considered a hard 5. In this case, you want the more farm on the Disruptor because Aghanims is a pretty important pickup. Weha's sitting here in the middle lane with this Shadow Blade looking for another one of those pickoffs. But again, question who he goes on. Yule Scepter in order to dodge some of that. The Fisher Impale. Oh, wow. I can't believe that Impale didn't actually land.
So at least it's going to be temporarily just a bit of a stalemate. They'll back off, maybe find one pick off in the jungle if the Dread roams back out. But Yeah, just falling back for now. Shadow Blade out for the Lina. I have to disagree about the priority of farm for Disruptor and Rubik here. I actually think that Rubik is a hard 4 position here. He actually, with the spells that he can acquire, we freebie on Dread.
Yep.
Not much to do. But they can try to turn it back the other way. Shadow Dance, the only skill available, but Morphling, the only one in sight. So yeah, with this game and the heroes that he's up against, Rubik can do so much work if he gets able to get farm. Going in for a Blink Dagger, a Forest Staff, Aghanim Scepter, anything along those lines, he's able to do so much with Spell Steal.
Oh, nice intercept there. Ooh, boy. That ultimate Shadow Dance. Now the Shadow Blade goes out, and Weha will get away. But holy cow, that was super close. Yeah. Just left and down to about 30 HP. So you think they should have given the last hit to the Rubik there? And he would have allowed him to get the Blink Dagger a little bit closer?
I mean, I think it's okay because YapzOr is doing this well, but I still think overall the net worth prioritization, like they intentionally put Rubik at 5,300 right here. And they're actually going to go in. They do get the silence and everything onto Artez. They're not even going to let him get the morph off. It's just no chance at all. All of the disables in the world, the Lincolns can only stop one, and they've got about 6 or 7 apiece.
Oh, dear. Balkan Bears just getting more and more pickoffs. It's Hellraisers. I don't even know what that was. The jump in from the Morphling like that. There's just too much control. I mean, at this point in time, between the Orchid, the Lasso, and mainly like the Disruptor Static Storm is so good versus Morphling as well, because who cares about Lincolns? Yeah,
nice patience, but it's not fast enough, and now he might even get turned on. No, they're gonna play the defensive route as there is Dragon Slave cooling down. Can he catch him out? We still with the invis, still healing, and he's staying right on target. He can't really go for this, right? Okay, it's just a nip on the bud. It's a BM play before he falls back. Maybe the damage can set up Storm's assistance, but it's more like just haha, you can't catch me, and I'll walk away.
Yeah, no, he's got the BKB. They do catch out the Nyx Assassin due to a well-placed counter word at the same time in the bottom lane. This kill, or this game, man, it's kind of exhausting here. I'm not doing the greatest job on camera work for today. It's pretty poor, but this game in particular, like how many times have we had kills happen at the exact same time on opposite sides of the map? It's crazy the number of pickoffs that mainly Balkan Bears are finding. And whether it's through the Storm Spirit, the counter ward setup there was obviously beautiful to catch out the Nyx Assassin. Really good read there from Balkan Bears. But overall, it's just been a crazy number of pickoffs for Balkan Bears, and HR kind of struggling to find those fights. And at this point in time, like Lina's still keeping up in net worth, but she's not keeping ahead, which is where a Lina mid needs to be.
Actually, Vendetta stolen by YapzOr. He's going to make a play here on Aphrodite. The Shadow Blade's still cooling down. He saw him. He saw him in the trees.
Yep.
Slark's en route, and that is going to be a kill.
He even steals the Light Strike Array just to add that extra bit. Man, YapzOr is going to town here. In this game number 1, Hellraisers looking a bit like chumps in the last couple of minutes as they just cannot find any ground underneath their feet.
And you got to think about this way. What you mentioned about the camera control, it's disruptive and confusing for viewers and commentators, but how hard is it for HR? From every angle, they're being lassoed, they're being glimpsed back, they're being pounced by a Slark, they're being jumped by a Storm Spirit. It's literally everywhere. They're just dying.
Literally, the Nyx Assassin dies at the exact same time as the Skywrath Mage gets picked off.
It's like... It's very difficult for us to catch everything, but think of it from their perspective as Hellraisers. They can't even say I'm dying in the microphone without talking over each other because they're just dying from all these angles. Their only hope is 5-man play, and until Earthshaker gets the Blink Dagger, that doesn't really happen.
Oh my goodness, 25-12, man. Balkan Bears. You still have the fallback of the Morphling technically for HR, but. Boy, oh boy, this was supposed to be like the Lina and Nyx Assassin just doing the exact opposite of what is being done to them. Move around the map, find those pickoffs constantly. But they are the ones actually losing their lives as every single step of the way, Balkan Bears is actually foreseeing the rotations and countering them beautifully.
So, one thing to comment on, okay, they actually go under the Sentry Ward, takes a few hits, pops the BKB, the Ghost Scepter in turn, but he can still pounce, still nuke. Aphrodite not bringing down YapzOr just yet.
Oh no, the Fisher's going to be able to finish off that. Levy is actually in some trouble. He controls Apho, but it's still not enough by itself. Weha is going to be forced back. Exists now controlled, out of mana, out of time here as he's going to fall. Weha decides against trying to jump Apho, which could have been a free kill, but Doesn't see the opportunity. Tries to loop around behind. Masakari is also invisible here on the side. They do have a Radiant counter ward, so even if Goretz does have Vendetta, which he doesn't, they could still catch him out. Looks like they're going to got him. He's done for. So isolated, pulled up on the cliff, and Weha. Well, if you really want to be a part of this kill, you're going to have to pounce yourself up on the cliff. It seems Masakari is like, this is my prey. You go find someone else.
So it just burns him down. Dread can't get involved. And then mid lane are actually going to see the tower fall to the Morphling. We are stocking up Gorak. He does not have Vendetta, and he can't get the double damage rune.
Oh dear, Goretz trying to TP out, but again, the Dark Pack timings are just too good. It's so hard to get off a good spike carapace, as you pointed out in the draft.
Yeah, it's just nullified immediately, and it's just so frustrating at this point. We'll go back to that fight that they just had before these two pickoffs and say that 3-for-1 actually swung them forward 2,800 gold and got them 6,200 experience. Like, Hellraisers get a lot out of these little trades.
Shadowblade Dread's done for. They tried to go for the pickoff on Masakari, but again, the 4-staff nice play from Masakari, but the quick rotation from Exist is there to be able to counter them. Even if they did get the stun, they wouldn't have been able to finish them off solely because the Orchid came in time.
Yeah, and now Slark going for Roche. Started off with 300 damage with the DD rune, now back down to 180, but still bringing this down quite swiftly. And what can HR do? I mean, even with the Blink Echo Slam, they only will bring people down to, at lowest, like 60% HP. And then there's nobody there to clean it up. So it's going to be a free Roche. They had trouble dealing with one Slark. Now they're going to be dealing with two. This Aegis the Immortal going to come into play very soon as we are just constantly playing aggressive.
I mean, really, can we call two Slarks? Isn't it more like 3 or 4 with the Shadow Blades and Shadow Dances that are going to come into play? I mean, he's got 1,400 HP. I doubt they have the opportunity to burst him down first try and take away that Aegis.
So he's just doing his thing. I was wondering when this Geometry Sight was going to come out from the side of BBC, because for the past like 5 minutes, Weehaw has been done nothing but roam around the jungle and ping out wards. He's like, here, there's one here, there's one here. Like, he knows because of the Shadow Dance passive that they have this jungle really well under lockdown. And I assumed the gem would come out shortly after that, throw it on the Bat Rider and clear those out. But it's been so active that I guess they just haven't found time until this moment. And we'll see. The Vendetta, the Shadow Blade counteracted by the gem as well, so it's a really valuable pickup if they can hold on to it.
Oh, Weha, you sneaky devil. What are you doing here? They see him. Light Strike away. He does get off the Dark Pact. Oh, he even popped the ultimate there and still gets dunked by the Echo Slam in time.
TP, yeah?
BKB, and yeah, he will TP out. Thought he might just run him. Oh, no, he's actually going to cancel it. Yeah, he's going to stick around because his team is nearby. But that's a significant loss there. No Aegis, a BKB timer down. Middle lane, they're going to catch out Dread. Poor Dread, man. I mean, he pops the Ghost Scepter and then immediately dies to the Fate Bolt. Goretz, I'm not sure why he even tried to TP in like that, but he easily gets caught by the Disruptor. Again, TP plays are no good versus Disruptor. Whether you get glimpsed back or caught by the Static Storm, HR just keep on banging their head against the same electric wall.
Yeah, it's pretty insane just how fast tempo this game has gotten out of HR's hands. And I mean, I knew that once they lost map control, that we'd be seeing the gankers just find that much more prowess. The Storm, the Bat, and the Slark in particular. But even the supports are always at the place where they need to be and catching out for Carter. He played self.
Oh no! That's no good. The Fisher returned on to got him. Meanwhile, Affo brought into range of Exist in his pullback, and Hardis is looking like, oh, sorry guys, I guess I'll just jump away to my replicate, but that was not the play. I mean, I don't think they should have fought that anyway. They didn't have Echo Slam, they didn't have their Nyx Assassin, but it's just made that much worse by the self-ethereal blade.
I think a hockey thing, he's just switched the inventory slot on it, so maybe he's just holding in the wrong one, and either sometimes you have some inventory slots on quick cast, some of them aren't, and he just probably double tapped it when he thought he was gonna hit it right on the person through quick cast. So anyways, tier 2 gonna go down very quickly, and with that, like, they have very limited map control. The double gem, who bought the second gem is the question here. Bat Rider is actually carrying one from Affo Ninja, and that's another 900 down the drain. Art's caught inside the Static Storm, and it's gonna be a glimpse back on the Earthshaker.
Yeah, he managed to get the small stun on the Levy. Perhaps HR. No, Goretz is actually caught here. They can maybe burst him down. Pops the Spike Carapace. Weha jumps onto the Morphling. Pops his BKB in time for the Impale, and the Fisher locks up 3 of them. HR The BKB's going to run out for Weha soon. They send Dread back. He's an easy kill. Perhaps they can kill Weha. They gets off the ultimate, though. He's going to run his way left. Echo Slam to intercept the Laguna Blade as well. They do get that kill finally. But HR, heavy cost, is now they're going to lose. Got him. He gets cleaned up by Exist, the right-hand side. Lena's going to go down as well. Artist says, see you later, buddy. No, he doesn't. Actually glimpsed back. Levy says, see you later. No. You're sticking around, having some fun. BBC won another piece of you. Artez running low on mana here. He's going to be able to strength morph a little bit more, but locked inside the kinetic field and right-click down. That is the end. A wipe there for HR as BBC, as their name implies, big, large, in charge here in game number 1.
Nice. And now you get to look at YapzOr's health just jump up. He has 0 base agility. He stole the morph at the tail end of that, and now he has 2,200 health. Gonna finish up the Aghanim Scepter. You add in the mitigation of Null Field, which is 20% more magic resistance, the self-heals for defensive plays. This guy is unkillable. You would throw everything in the book at him. He's he's like as hard to kill as the Slark, just about. And he's gonna be stealing spells with a 2-second cooldown thanks to his Aghanim Scepter. Like, even if you just use that as a quick pop on the Lincoln Sphere for Morphling, that's perfectly fine. Like, this cooldown is absurd, and he's just going to be juggling their spells like the jester he cosmetically is.
Oh boy. Item-wise, BKB from Asakari, as you said, Aghanims for YapzOr. Exists is probably going to be getting a Scythe device. Weha, the Scotty, we also have an Aghanims soon finished up for Levy. On the HR side, you've got the Ethereal Blade finished. That was finished like 3 minutes ago. They really don't have anything else. Like, even if they were building towards some items, they wouldn't have nearly the same impact as most of the items I just described for Balkan pairs. Like, the Aghanims is probably one of the biggest upgrades they could get on the side of HR for AFO, and then obviously Artez, any follow-up agility items. But they're not even close to starting to build that next round of items for them. Things are not going to change. These team fights are not going to change for a while.
Okay, so they're going to glimpse it back. The Geometry site is on the Batrider, but yeah, Goret's breaking through with any spell he can, and it's going to be a full game.
Echo Slam on 2, the Light Strike Array, they're going to set this one up, but oh, never mind, the BKB start going off, Artist gets controlled, AFO goes down as well. HR, that was the last all-in fight for them, I see, as there's no other way that you take that engagement unless it's just like, screw it, we got to go all in, well, let's just jump at him, see what happens. HR do get wiped and only claim the Disruptor, and sure enough, they call good game, well played shortly after that.
Weha didn't have to shout dance or BKB that fight, just like no pressure at all. Just takes it with ease, and HR down for the count. 43-17, 60 kills in a 33-minute game. That's just a ton of fun, but Hellraiser's not so much fun for them. They've got to rethink their strategy going into game 2.
All right, guys, our last game of the night coming away. If game 1 was any sign here, HR have lost some serious control of the game ever since they took that first game up against Burden United. But we'll see, Mayor. Perhaps they can come back, make it another tie. They certainly need a break, because it seems like these games are just gone, you know, too fast tempo, it seems, for Hellraisers, man. It's just, they look so lost in that game. Either way, I'm sure it's going to be an entertaining slaughter fest for game number 2. Stick around. That's going to be coming up after a short break.